Imagine this. You text someone. They see your message, and they don't reply. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. And suddenly, your brain becomes a detective. Did I say something wrong? Are they annoyed with me? Maybe they don't want to talk anymore. Your brain has created a story. The problem? You don't actually know if it's true. But there could be dozens of explanations. Maybe they're busy. Maybe their phone is dead. Maybe they saw the message and forgot. Or maybe they're just terrible at texting. And that's exactly where today's habit begins. Instead of asking, "Is my first explanation true?" ask, "What else could explain this?" That tiny question can completely change how you think. But there's a catch. Your brain loves shortcuts. And honestly, that's useful. You don't want to analyze every single thing you see. Your brain makes quick judgments, so you can move through everyday life without turning every decision into a research project. But sometimes, the shortcut becomes a trap. Your brain sees one piece of information and fills in the rest. You see a delayed message. Your brain creates a reason. You see a person's expression. Your brain creates a story. Finding a second explanation forces you to pause. Not to reject your first thought, just to question it. One explanation gives you a story. 2 explanations give you a comparison. But don't make the mistake of inventing random possibilities. The goal isn't to convince yourself that every explanation is equally true. The goal is to compare them and look for evidence. Because better thinking isn't about having more possibilities. It's about having better reasons. So, how do you practice this? Step 1. What do I think happened? Write down your first explanation. Don't make it complicated. Just be honest. Step 2. What else could explain it? Come up with at least one realistic alternative. Not the most comforting explanation, not the most dramatic one, just another explanation that could realistically be true. Step 3. What evidence do I actually have? This is the part people often skip, because an explanation can feel true without actually having evidence behind it. Maybe you discover evidence. Maybe you don't. And if you don't, that's okay. You don't have to choose a story just because your brain wants an answer. Sometimes the most rational conclusion is, I don't have enough information yet. Now here's where things get interesting. Finding another explanation is useful when it gives you a better perspective. You notice your first assumption. You consider another possibility. You check the evidence. And then you move on. But what happens when you don't move on? The first explanation becomes the second becomes the third, then the fourth, then the fifth, and suddenly you're no longer checking possibilities, you're generating them. And now something strange happens. You're thinking more, but you're not learning anything new. You keep returning to the same question. What if? What if? What if? The thought changes shape, but the uncertainty stays exactly where it was. This is the hidden harm. Not that alternative thinking damages your brain. That's too simplistic. The problem is when thinking becomes repetitive. Research on repetitive negative thinking suggests that people can have more difficulty disengaging from thoughts and updating working memory when information is no longer useful. In other words, sometimes your brain doesn't need another explanation. It needs an exit. Here's the hidden mistake. Most people know how to start thinking. Very few people have a rule for when to stop. That's the difference between reflection and rumination. Reflection asks, what can I learn? Rumination asks, but what if? Again and again and again. And this is why knowing when to stop matters. When a thought feels personally important, your attention can keep returning to it. You try to move on. Then the question comes back. You answer it. Then another question appears. And suddenly, your brain is running in circles. So the solution isn't to stop thinking critically. It's to create a stopping rule. Try this. One alternative, one piece of evidence, one decision. Then move on. You don't need perfect certainty. You need enough information to make the next reasonable move.
So let's turn this into something practical. The next time you catch yourself making a quick judgment, don't immediately believe it. Pause for 30 seconds. Then ask 3 questions. Number 1, what am I assuming? Number 2, what else could explain this? Number 3, what evidence do I actually have? That's it. 3 questions, 30 seconds. No mental detective marathon required. If the alternative is realistic, keep it in consideration. If you have evidence, use it. And if you don't have enough information, don't invent certainty. Then make the best reasonable decision you can and move on.
So, is finding another explanation a good habit? Yes, but only if you use it as a tool, not as an endless search. It can help you challenge assumptions. It can make you less reactive. It can help you consider information you might otherwise ignore. But if every uncertainty becomes a puzzle, you may never give your brain the signal that the thinking is finished. So the real habit isn't always find another explanation. It's find another reasonable explanation. Then check the evidence. Then decide. Then stop. Because smart thinking isn't about having more thoughts. It's about knowing which thoughts deserve your attention. Your first thought is a possibility, not automatically a fact. So here's the question. Are you thinking deeper? Or are you just thinking longer?